Yap, yap, yap. Welcome to the Yappening. It has been an eternity since I've been here. It's taken me a moment to adjust myself to this new responsibility and what you may call it, schedule. So, welcome to the Native Tea Podcast. This is episode 1. You're going to see the screen in a moment. Today is Damondo de Age, meaning Thursday. Alright, let's go ahead and pull up the images that I'm here to show you. You know what? I'll go ahead and show you today's date on the Mayan calendar. Alright, and we're okay. Turn the camera around. Yeah, buddy. Alright, here we go. So this is today's date on the Maya calendar. This is the Stela. However, this website, when we zoom in, it says 13/0/12/0/12. These are all different cycles. I don't remember the exact names for them, but they're larger time cycles compared to right here where it says 12 Kaban, 0 Ke. And Kaban is one of the many days of the Tzolkin. The Tzolkin is like a 20-day cycle. And so each day of the month, which is a Winal, 20 days, each day of the month, there is a different day. So, for example, I was born on the day Ahau. However, on this calendar, this Mayan calendar, if we go back 2 days or something, I'm born on Itsnab. So there's a 2-day difference. So yeah, I just wanted to show you this, but I have a little qualm with this because it looks like it's not accurately telling the time now. It's not accurately updating the numerals. However, it is accurately updating the days. So it says 0 Ke. So this is Ke, and then this is the symbol for Kaban, which Kaban means earth. So I just wanted to show you the date. Alright, so we're going to get right into the presentation. So this tea is a bit cold, this tea is a bit old, but we're gonna get into it because, here we are, little old Trump has been elected. Now, since this is the Native Tea Podcast, I'd like my audience to get your tea, get your doobie, get your snacks, get your Halloween candy, your leftover Halloween candy, if you're into that. Hopefully it's all plant-based. Am I right? I can't find my lighter. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Got my lighter. Alright. So this is guerrilla podcasting here because we are doing this in the middle of the day. I had this scheduled for the evening, but so we're gonna take a little hit here from the bong, a little ASMR. Give him a little offerings to the ancestors, to the gods, to the goddesses. And we're gonna, here at 420, we're gonna get into this. So, it's just gonna be me today. I don't have my producer, unless he shows up randomly and calls me. I got my phone on silent. But, okay. We got a lot to get into. Oh yeah, I'm a little nervous just because, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so let's go to, oh geez. Yeah, that's why I'm nervous, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a professional. Okay, anyway, so let's take a look at the topics here. There we go. All right, so we have 12 umbrella topics, and we're going to have subtopics, mini topics under those. So the hot topics that we're covering today are food and drinks of Palestine, Palestinian aid and contamination, Israel's war on brown people, Palestinian censorship, Sudanese genocide, memes of the week, Hitler phones Netanyahu, and more. Resistance forces to the Zionism army, Palestinian people and culture, pro-genocide politicians in the US, music artists and new releases, Turtle Island Halloween, Dia de Muertos, and news. And then lastly, we're going to finish off with something very lighthearted. Chunk the Groundhog, wild celebrity Mukbanger. It's about a groundhog. Okay? It's a groundhog. So, we're going to get into these topics. So, we're starting off with food and drinks of Palestine. And as you can see here, this is the Palestine Cola. We're going to get a little bit more into that soon here. A little preview. You can find them on, Instagram. They're trying to increase the amount of places that sell and offer Palestine Cola. And by the way, if anybody's chatting, I don't know if it's glitching. I've been having glitches with like Discord and whatnot, so just in case if people are chatting and I don't see it, glitch. Okay, so let's take a look here. We have Chef Hamada Shaw, who is making chocolate croissants for the youth. And he's right in the center of Gaza Strip, as indicated. Oh, let me turn the volume up. So, yeah, clearly he simply asked them, how is it? And they all say, delicious. That's what all the kids were saying throughout this. So as you notice there's a bald child there. This is becoming increasingly common in Gaza, where a lot of people, women, children, I assume some men are going through it too, where let me change the mic. Where this stress is getting to be too overwhelming with the constant threat of violence to the point where they are losing their hair. Now, there's a lot of different things that I've been getting into this week that I'm going to be incorporating in the next couple of episodes that are related topics to Islam, the Arabic world, and so on and so forth. And even actually here in Turtle Island, there is a grand epidemic on melanated people in the form of sundown towns and so on and so forth. So, okay. just giving you a little heads up on what we got prepared in the next coming weeks. So yeah, this is Chef Hamada Show. I've been following him for a little bit now, and it's very uplifting to see him doing whatever he can with the resources that he's given to produce as many nice dishes as possible. So miraculously enough, there are still segments within Gaza where there's like, for example, there's a vegan restaurant that I found out that is still functioning and open somewhere in Gaza. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's crazy that we got that going on. So let's take a look here at what else we have under Palestinian food and drinks. I got my little clipboard here, so I'm gonna try to stay on topic like this. There we go. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Coca-Cola metal contamination. Oh, I think I made a little oopsie there with the picture. I was supposed to replace that, but that's all right. That's Chef Hamada Show right there. Definitely not TRT World on YouTube. This is where I got the news. So Coca-Cola recalls 28 million bottles in Austria. In Austria, so that's right under Germany, due to possible metal contamination. Oh my gosh. What is this? And a lot of people have already been boycotting Coca-Cola for its affiliation with basically funding Israel. And yeah, so you know, this is in a way good news because it's gonna get a lot of people to maybe be on top of the genocide funding, be like very put off from consuming Coca-Cola and contributing to that. So Austria, as 28 million half-liter plastic bottles may contain metal pieces. The recall affects millions of liters of Coca-Cola products with best before dates between February 3rd and April 12th, 2025. Coca-Cola admits that a technical error in production caused the metal contamination. The company, which has been the target of boycotts against international companies that support Israel, reported that its third quarter 2024 earnings show a decline in net revenues. So, is just the way it's gotta be when it comes to that. Coca-Cola. Gotta say no twice, I guess. Even the machines are saying no to Coca-Cola. Okay. So, instead of drinking Coca-Cola, you could do Palestine Cola. It can be ordered online. This is a grand alternative for those that are pro-Palestinian and that can afford to purchase this cola if it is more inaccessible for you. Because, like I said, for some people, Palestine Cola is available at your local supermarket or whatever. They do have it available in many, many, many stores. So let's take a look at Palestine Cola and what they offer. So on top of making a beverage that is genocide free, as they say, and is in support of Palestine, 10% of the revenue that they make from each soda goes towards charities that are helping people in Gaza right now. I don't know if they're helping in other parts of Palestine, but so far I know that they are, at the very least, helping in Gaza. So this is the new energy drink that they offer.
Coca-Cola put out an ad trying to distance themselves from Israel, and I think it's one of the craziest PR disasters I've ever seen. So, long story short, there's a grassroots boycott against Coca-Cola for their involvement with Israel, and it's been tanking their sales, especially in the country of Bangladesh. And so Coca-Cola felt the need to respond. They hired the country's most famous actors and put out this ad in which they said this. So let's just Google Coca-Cola Factory Palestine. Literally, This is the first result. It says Coca-Cola has a factory in Hatzroads, an illegal Israeli settlement built on stolen Palestinian land. Let me get this straight. Coca-Cola responded to a boycott by spending a ton of money on an ad to advertise the very thing they're being boycotted for. This didn't only backfire in Bangladesh, it backfired internationally because this is going viral. I need to tell you about this before you leave. This is Palestine Cola. It's an alternative to buying Coca-Cola products, and it's founded by 3 Palestinian brothers, and they're launching in the United States for pre-orders on November 1st. They're working with the Safad Foundation to do projects in Gaza with 100% of the profits they received. And there's a link in my bio I want you to check out. They have a bunch of different flavors of drinks. For example, this is an energy drink. I know they have lemonade, and I also have the sugar-free one right here. So if you still find yourself buying Coca-Cola products, maybe this is your sign to switch over. Again, that link's in my bio. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Bro's right. Bro's got a point. Bro put the cola in the bag. If that's a saying. Might as well be. Alright, so that's Palestine Cola. Little preview. Yeah, it makes sense they'd be putting out, Coca-Cola would be putting out some advertisement out in some Arabic countries to get them to back on the Coca-Cola wagon. Alright, let's take a look at what we got here next. We're going into the worms in the food in Gaza. So this is a common problem where a lot of the food is getting contaminated. And the reason for... Excuse me for being so loud. Switch the audio over. And the reason for that being is because summer just passed, so a lot of the food portions, bags of flour that were in storage in Gaza were hit with the heat, so that ended up either rotting the flour or, you know, leading to it getting contaminated with these insects. So, yeah, a lot of the food had been spoiled, and honestly, unfortunately, a part of that is because they still have a running economy out there. And, you know, because I was thinking about that. Like, realistically, if it was more of a concern to get the food out, then, you know, they would have done that. But because of the structure out there, they're still using a form of economics and not willing to risk the waste that would come with actually just giving away products, or, you know, anticipating that they may have to give away product eventually. So yeah, it's just unfortunate because, you know, realistically at grocery stores, once things start getting old, you know, it just ends up getting discounted and donated to the local pantries. And so that obviously wasn't taken into consideration, which is very, you know, is reasonable. Excuse me. It's an extremely high stress situation, so it makes sense that the people out there wouldn't really prioritizing that as well as they could be. So, all right. So let's take a look at the worms in the food. This comes from Ahmed Hisham, I think. Yeah, I think his name is Ahmed. And
شايفين كمية الدود يا جماعة؟ هذا من صحن واحد. شايفين يا جماعة؟ شايفين كمية الدود يا جماعة؟ هذا من صحن واحد. هذا من صحن واحد. الدود الابيض غير الاسمر، في دود ابيض، دود ابيض هذا. مرة ومرتين وثلاثة عشان يعمل خبز. للأسف ما في بكل قطاع غزة لا طحين ولا في مخابز ولا في مطاعم ولا في حاجة. فعليا جنوب قطاع غزة بيعيش مجاعة يمكن لأول مرة بيشهدها من 7 أكتوبر لحتى الآن. هذا السوس يا جماعة شايفين؟ هذا السوس. هذا الله يعطيك العافية حجة.
يعطيك عافية.
كله بجر صح؟
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
بعد فيش طحين يا جماعة في كل غزة، كل غزة هذا الطحين مسوس.
احنا ملاقيينه، في ناس مش ملاقيينه بالشمال. أكلوا علف الحيوانات. احنا الحمد لله ما وصلناش لهذه المرحلة، الله يجعلنا ما نصل إليها.
Yeah, so that's a first-person perspective of how much flour that needs to be gone through in order to salvage some fair flour to use for making bread. Deprived of everything, and finally we find Arabs, animals eating McDonald's, and KFC and drinking Pepsi. That was originally written in Arabic, so I translated that from Instagram. So, you know, he's basically saying we're deprived of everything, and finally, and and at this point, we're seeing the animalistic Arab world eating McDonald's and KFC and drinking Pepsi like it's nothing, as a natural translation. Oh, sorry, everybody. Oh my god, I have the headphones on, and I can hear how loud it is to cough in the microphone. Oh, that is so terrible. Okay, so this comes from Ahmed Raida, who is a survivor from Gaza, who now lives in Egypt, and he's recovering from a lot of injuries that he received there. And this is from a family member regarding yeah. So, yeah. As I'd shown you before, how much work it takes to get through all those worms. This is the end result with the flour that can be salvaged. So, thankfully, it's still, some of the flour is still usable. So, let's take a look at, let's see. So, we got one more food topic here. We're going to be looking at Mariam making falafel. And Mariam is one of at least two children of a woman, married couple. I don't remember their names off the top of my head, but Mariam, because I think it's like they focus on their Instagrams mainly on their children and showing their life and their perspective and their voice. So there's not as much of a, she doesn't show, you know, her voice and her story as much, but, you know, rightly so. The focus is on the children. The children need to be safe and living a good life. So, Mariam, she is going to be making some Palestinian falafel. And you can follow her account for both of her children on Instagram at Mariam Thabet Gaza. So that's a really nice image that at the very least we still have the traditions being passed on. And I haven't successfully made falafel. I've attempted, like, but I haven't given it a genuine attempt. So maybe one of these days, try it out. We're gonna look at Palestinian aid and contamination. Oh, I think I might have made an error with the contamination because I mixed up the food and drinks Palestine. So it might just be Palestinian aid and contamination, just it was an oopsie, so. Yeah, that's an oopsie. You're right. Cross that off. Okay, Palestinian aid. So this is an image from Vegan in Palestine. And they are an active group of people in Gaza giving out vegan, plant-based aid to people. And as you can see in this image, what do we got? We got, looks like garlic, potatoes, onions. And you'll see the Hebrew on the box. So that's Hebrew produce. Eggplants, tomatoes. Just in this shot. So this is going to be a video update from October 25th, which is a little bit ago. I'll have to check in for another update, but we're going to look at a couple updates from them from a couple weeks ago.
نقوم اليوم الجمعة 25 من أكتوبر بتوزيع عدد من الطرود الغذائية النباتية على النازحين من مدينة بيت لاهيا ومخيم جباليا إلى وسط مدينة غزة وغرب مدينة غزة بتبرع كريم من نباتيون خضرويون من أجل فلسطين Vegan for Palestine. نقوم اليوم الجمعة 25 من أكتوبر بتوزيع عدد من الطرود الغذائية النباتية على النازحين من مدينة بيت لاهيا ومخيم جباليا إلى وسط مدينة غزة وغرب مدينة غزة بتبرع كريم من نباتيون خضرويون من أجل فلسطين Vegan for Palestine.
شدوا بعضكم يا أهل فلسطين شدوا بعضكم ايدينا واحدة يا ستي والله ايدينا واحدة ما ودعتكم رحلة فلسطين ما ودعتكم ما بنسى أرضي في قلبي والله ما بنسى أرضي عوارك صيني ليش بالحبر عوارك صيني بكتب بدمي حبك يا بلادي بكتب بدمي يا فلسطيني عندي زرارك يا فلسطيني لا تنهمي راسك بالعالي لا تنهمي القدس وعكا نحن إلى يافا في غزة نحن وقلب جنين.
Yeah, so those are some pretty good looking distributions. I know I would be very pleased to get something like that. And this is an update from October 29th. Oh, let me... How about I read what is written on the screen here? Translate for the audience. Today, Friday, October 25th, we distributed plant-based food parcels to the recently displaced people from Beit Lahia City and Jabalia refugee camp in the north to the central and western parts of Gaza City, thanks to a generous donation from the Vegan for Gaza campaign or cause. Yeah, the Vegan for Gaza. Maybe I'm thinking of Vegan for Palestine. I don't know. I don't know if that's a separate thing. They might be talking about Vegan for Palestine, because Vegan for Palestine is the number one advocate for vegan in Palestine. It's like a sister page. Okay. So this is the next update from the 25th. This comes from Plant Based Arab, who is one of the distributors living there in Gaza, and yep. And then we're gonna take a look at Amar Weil, who is, I think, the founder of Vegan in Palestine. Where it at? What it do? What's going on?
قمح، في قمح اسمر قمح ابيض، كزبره، عدس، حمض ليمون، شبن، كمون، حب، فلفل حب، سمسم هذا في الاخر، ملح، سماق، هذا كله بتحمص، كله بنطحن مع بعض، بنحط في الاخر ملح، سماق، حمض الليمون والسمسم. شدوا بعضكم يا اهل فلسطين، شدوا بعضكم. ايدينا واحدة يا ستي والله ايدينا واحدة، العالي لا تنهمي.
القدس وعكا نحن إلى يافا في
I'll translate that for you. Everything that is just shown on screen. Turn the volume down. Okay. So that first thing was a jar of khazan duka, some sort of spice, wheat, there's brown wheat, and white wheat, coriander, lentils, lemon, citric acid, dill, cumin seeds, chili peppers, sesame seeds at the end, salt, sumac. All gets toasted, all gets ground up together, put at the end. Salt, sumac, citric acid, and sesame. In northern Gaza, Amar is putting dukkha in bags to distribute to displaced families. Along with olive oil, za'atar, and bread. It's part of the initiative he's volunteering. Vegan for Gaza, plant-based food parcels. Because of the tightened Israeli siege and targeting of Palestinian farmland, it's extremely difficult to source and afford fresh produce, fruits, and vegetables. But the team is still providing what they can. Donate to support Vegan for Gaza. Okay. Now, as of recording this, I know that northern Gaza has totally been besieged at this point and partitioned off with a military enforcement. So I have no idea what's going on up there for this team right now. What's going on? Glitch? We got a glitch. There we go. So this is Amar Amar Wild, who is the main dude behind Vegan in Palestine. So, oh my god. Okay. Every time I smoke, it's like I eat a cactus or something, because my throat gets that dry. So this is winter blankets being provided by Kuwait. So as we saw before, Kuwait was providing blankets, or not blankets, but winter clothing for the children. And so now we have winter blankets less than a week, or around a week later. And this is from the same journalist, Mohammed Faik.
آمنت أن الناس للناس وتلك قناعتي الكل غيث انهضل كل بدوره بطل ما المشكلات إن كل تعاضد كي تحل بسم الله باسم السلام يبتدي لسعادة مدت يدي حب الحياة أرتجي كي أبذل الحياة من يرتجي كنزا ثمين قدر استطاعتي يعين هو رابح دنيا ودين فلتنويها لله الله نعم المتكل أحيا بفطرتنا الآمل نحيي نعمر أرضنا وبلا كلل هي رحلة عنوانها أن نستمر بلا ملل حب ويتبعه عمل آمنت أن الناس للناس وتلك قناعتي.
Yeah, a very beautiful, uplifting image of, the people doing what they can to get by. And unfortunately, I've been talking to a young man out there. His name is, I'm trying to remember. It might be Abdel. I've been talking to a lot of people out there. And he has a younger sister, and I don't remember exactly which part of Gaza that he lives in, whether it's the middle or what, but he is very much so in need of a winter blanket and anything else to secure his tent, because his winter is coming along, and his younger sister, he also needs clothes for her and a nice blanket. So it's hasn't been easy, and I don't remember if I have him on the list here, but if I don't get to his story, we'll get to his story next time. Okay. So lastly, in regards to Palestinian aid, U.S. announces $130 million in aid for Palestine. And this comes to us from Land Palestine. The United States has announced $135 million in aid for Palestinians, 80 billion to Israel, 135 million to Palestinians. They steal your bread, then give you a crumb of it. Then they demand you to thank them for their generosity. That is Land Palestine's take on this. And not wrong. Very correct. Unfortunately. And they add, this is what the Israeli army did today to the medical team of doctors, nurses, and the displaced inside Kamal Adwan Hospital. This image is from roughly October 25th, 29th, around that time period, when they were taking over Kamal Adwan. Palestinians being ethnically cleansed from Jabalia today. Israel deliberately bombed a journalist's residence in Lebanon and killed 3 brave journalists while they were sleeping. This violates Article 79 of Additional Protocol 1, Geneva Conventions, but international law clearly does not apply to Israel. Israel has killed Rashid al-Nimes, Hatem, Rafah's very own, and wiped out his entire family after targeting their home in Khan Yunis. Is it Khan? Is it Khan? Khan. The 31-year-old midfielder won Gaza's Palestinian PL title twice in the Palestine Cup in 2019. Yeah, taking the best and the brightest away from the world, as they usually do. The so-called Jewish state of Israel, not a Jewish state, a satanic Zionist state, rather, posing as Jews. The fakes, that's all they are, just a bunch of fakes. Yeah. Let's see. They add, the Israeli army killed Dr. Mohammed Zahir inside the Indonesian hospital. He remained in northern Gaza until his final breath. Israel took his young daughter's life just months ago, and he buried her and returned to treat the wounded. I don't remember if this is one of the doctors that I'd seen a recent video of talking about the urgency of what was going on there, because he looks familiar. I really don't remember. There's just been too many at this point to keep up with. And that's specifically why Israeli Zionists have been online calling all of this stuff Pallywood, calling it all fake, because they've made the conditions so extreme that we have images from Gaza that are just so unreal compared to what we're used to seeing when it comes to mass carnage. So, yeah. Now, we're going to be moving on to Israel's war on brown people, and we have an image here of the Day of Rage in Yemen for Palestine and Lebanon. So we're gonna take a brief intermission. We've been going at it 45 synchronicity. So we're gonna take a brief intermission. So let me see. I could write intermission on my paper here and put it up. You can even see that. That's great. Oh man. Okay, well it says intermission. You're just gonna have to use your imagination. So we're gonna regroup in about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. See you soon. Alrighty then. Let's get ready to rumble. Okay. I'm back. It's funny. The one viewer that was here left. I mean, I don't know if these numbers are accurate. Like, who's here and who's not. So, I just got back. I'm back. I'm back, guys. I'm back. I gotta figure out... Alright, here we go. I got the iPod. Okay. My intermission clipboard didn't really do much. You couldn't see it. So, it was cute. It was a cute attempt. Let me get set back up. How is everybody today? What are you all up to on this Thursday day? Let's see. There's the pen. Go forward. Surely that should go away eventually, the little progress bar. If not, I'll zoom out. Putting my socks on, okay? We're getting cozy. We're getting back into the tea. I had to go do some chores real quick. We all have responsibilities. Alright. Israel's war on brown people. This is my conclusion as of late. I don't see any headlines on this, but Israel is partaking in this war on brown people. They've already been sterilizing Ethiopian women, so they're bombing brown kids. I mean, they're not all brown, but they don't like it. They're kind of starting to turn out like Nazis. I mean, Nazis didn't really supposedly like brown people, and here we are. So, this is an image from Aya Dalzaro on Instagram. The Day of Rage in Yemen for Palestine and Lebanon. However, there's some interesting things in Lebanon in regards to the Senegalese people out there, and I just found out this. We're going to go into it more soon, but in Lebanon, it is Senegalese women are banned from being able to give birth. So there's a lot of discrimination against African people that go to Lebanon to have a better life. So a lot of Senegalese women have been suffering. And recently, as a response to all that, the Senegalese government has banned Lebanese women from giving birth in Senegal. So it's an eye for an eye sort of ordeal. And at the end of the day, the real problem here, when it comes to something like this, because the Lebanese people, as far as I know, they're not like overtly Zionist, like the Israeli state. The Israeli state doesn't have much room to speak anymore in regards to their own rights. I would say, those that are the colonizing settlers, that is. But I digress. This is a example of women suffering because of evil men. Because right now, the majority of those that are in these sorts of dictatorial rulership, order follower positions are men. So men right now culturally are doing a lot of the suppressing, unfortunately. And so, yeah, we're going to get into that down the road in another podcast. I don't know. Episode 2, episode 3, we'll see. So, this I thought was an interesting thing to happen all of a sudden. A truck strikes a bus stop in Israel.
The breaking news that's coming out of Israel, and at least 40 people have been injured, 10 of them critically. after a truck crashed into a bus station that's in Gilot, north of Tel Aviv. Now, there are reports that several people are trapped under the bus. Israeli media says the driver was shot. So Mohammed Jamjoom is in Jordan's capital, Amman. That's because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and in the occupied West Bank. So Mohammed, we understand the police are now calling this a terror attack. Is that right?
That's what we've seen from the Israeli emergency services. They have stated that the Israeli police consider this to be a terror attack. The reports that are emerging are stating that this was a truck or a bus that rammed into people waiting at this bus stop. And as you mentioned just a moment ago, we're hearing that there are still at least several people that are potentially trapped under this vehicle. We are also seeing reports that there are at least 50 that were injured, that many were taken to the hospital, and that there are emergency crews still at the scene working. Obviously, still a lot of questions with regards to how exactly this occurred. There's a lot of concern about this incident. There are reports that the truck or bus driver was shot. But again, we're still waiting on more details from police, specifically about the perpetrator, the suspect, what exactly they believe the motivation was behind this, and it's still a lot of details that we're waiting to find out at this hour. Sammy,
on that point, Mohammed, have they given any indications of anything at all about who the driver was?
We've not seen anything confirmed yet, Sammy, with regards to the identity of the driver or where the driver is from. We're waiting on that information as we speak. But this is certainly going to cause a lot of concern at a time when more and more Israelis are feeling vulnerable to the kinds of attacks that happen on the ground. Over the course of the past year, you have had more ramming attacks, you've had more shooting attacks, you've had more stabbing attacks, where there are Israelis in central Israel and other parts of Israel that are targeted, but also at a time when more and more communities are facing attacks from the sky as well. You've had dozens of rockets that are being fired from Lebanon towards northern Israeli cities and communities, central Israeli cities and communities. You've had drone attacks, several of them happening per day the past few weeks as well. Air raid sirens going off all hours of the day and night, making a lot of these communities feeling much more vulnerable at a time when the Israeli leadership continues to state repeatedly that all the wars that they are engaged in, all the wars that they are prosecuting, be it in Gaza or in Lebanon, or even the retaliatory attack against Iran just a day and a half ago, the Israeli leadership, military and political, continues to say that all of this is making Israel in the long term a safer place. And the citizens, many of them are starting to question if that is actually the case. Sammy?
All right, that's Mohammed Jamjoom reporting to us live from Amman in Jordan, because Israel has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and from the occupied West Bank. We're joined now by Abid Abu Shahade. He's a journalist based in Jaffa, so good to have you with us. And from what we're hearing, the way the authorities are talking about this as an attack right now, which would indicate this is an incident where a truck has been deliberately run into people, right? That's usually the context for that kind of language.
Hi, Sammy. So, yes, as you mentioned, and I think the language here plays a very big role in framing. We still don't know what actually happened, other than what or how many people were injured. But the terminology that's been used, especially by...
All right, we're going to go now to Tel Aviv and listen into an official speaking.
How do you spell your name? Israel, I-S-R-A-L, Weingarten, W-E-I-N-G-A-R-T-N, paramedic from Again David Adom. You're welcome.
Yes. Israel Weingarten from MADA. Can you tell us about the scene? What did you find here? Who did you treat?
Okay, so around 10:20, we got a call from the operation dispatch about a car accident between a bus to the truck. Our crews arrived to the scene. We started treat, and a lot of people, old people, this was inside of the bus and outside of from the bus. They were suffering for a severe injury, and we took the patient to the hospital.
How many injuries in total? What was the condition when you arrived to the scene?
Few patients was suffering for severe injuries. The others was in a good condition, not in a bad condition.
Can you confirm this is an attack or it's still being investigated?
It's still in state, and the police checking the police checking it right now. We not know, and we cannot allow to say anything about it.
Thank you so much. Just your name?
Isail Vangaten, Isail ISRAL, Wangoten WVINGART, paramedic Magen David Adom.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so just to bring you into context of what that was a paramedic on the scene of this incident at a bus stop north of Tel Aviv, where the paramedic was explaining what he understood at that point, which is that he was dispatched to the scene, found an incident in which people were injured inside and outside a bus. He said there were severe injuries. A few of them were severely injured. And at that point in time, he was saying that authorities were still investigating whether or not this is an accident or an attack. But
yeah. So it's being perceived that this was a terrorist attack, which, I mean, technically, yeah, somebody shooting the bus driver and putting other people in danger, yeah. So, I don't know if there's any updates about this at this point, but this was just an interesting headline coming out of Israel that, like, out of all the things that's going on, this is the headline that goes live. And when I looked it up on YouTube, Fox News was a recommendation for me, and it showed in the thumbnail a terror attack in a red bar in white letters. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that they wanted to really grip onto this headline for that. So we're gonna take a look at the attacks that have been on Tehran from the Israeli genocide army. This was on October 26th. Comes to us from Al Jazeera English. That's a first video of the rockets going into Tehran and being intercepted by their own missile defense system. Oh, I think I made a mistake here with this video. So it says basically, so naive, in 3 claimed waves of missiles, not a single one hit the ground in Tehran, which was the main target. Less than 5 out of hundreds missiles hit the ground in Khuzestan and Ilam provinces. Nothing happened. Iran will show them what a real strike is. Tehran during and after. Oh, I made a whoopsie with these images. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're gonna have to just open this slide because I made a huge mistake here with this. Oh, boy. Let's You know what? I'm not gonna correct it. You're just gonna take my word for it for this one. I'll just keep it in mind for next time. Yeah, look at how much I goofed up on this one. Alright. It says breaking. The situation in Iran is currently calm. The Zionists are now doing their favorite sport, sheltering. And these are the red alerts going off throughout the besieged Palestinian territory that they call Israel. Breaking. Israel is spreading fake news about the attack by sharing a video and some pictures of 2021. Iranian citizens are safe. Israel still has to work harder. And so Khalid Bedoun, very, is staunch the word? I don't know. He's very pro-Palestine. I'm trying to be smart here, okay? But he made a post here saying, Israel is currently bombing Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza at the same time with American jets and American tax dollars. Yeah. And lastly, for this segment of Israel's war on brown people, we're going to take a look at Albania being complicit in Palestinian genocide. So these are the people of the Balkans that condemn docking of genocide ship. Or maybe it's asking the people. I don't know. The captioning is a little confusing. But this is a headline. Albania complicit in genocide against the Palestinian people. The ship MV Catherine, carrying military supplies for Israel, finds a sanctions buster. And then you see this image here of the Catherine with its cargo almost fully unloaded docks in Durrës, Albania. Okay. And then it says BIRN, Albania journalists reported that a cargo ship carrying explosives for Israel to use in its genocide in occupied Palestine and Lebanon docked in a port in Durrës, Albania. It has since then left. The ship, the MV Catherine, has already been rejected from docking in ports in Namibia and Malta due to its role in Israel's war machine. Just last week, Greek dock workers in Athens blocked a different arms shipment to Israel. We, the undersigned groups in the Balkans, stand united in our condemnation of this transfer of weapons to Israel. We demand that each of our governments and their complicity in Israel's genocide, or end their complicity in Israel's genocide. We will not stop resisting until there is a free Palestine. And that comes to us from Face Connoisseur on Instagram. Yeah. And she adds here in the description of the post, these posts, we call on all people of conscience to put pressure on Albania to announce the whereabouts of the containers with explosives for Israel, confiscate them, and ensure they don't reach their destination. Yeah. So, we're moving on here to the next umbrella topic. This is going to be a short one though. Palestinian censorship. And this image comes to us from Zainab Ghaffur on Instagram. This is NYC cops shutting down the Adopke performance right in the heart of Times Square. And this comes to us from Wahar Tahirdar on Instagram.
Alright guys, we just finished doing Dubcat at Times Square. We had a good time up until the cops came and shut the music down. I believe they saw the kufiya on us and they saw Ana Ghazawi and they completely shut us down.
Sheesh, afraid of a dance. Look at those terrorists doing their terrorist dance. Okay. What about all the terrorist dancing that the, whatchamacallit, colonizers did and are doing? So, yeah, if anybody doesn't know what the Dubke is, that is a Palestinian dance. I'm not sure if it actually originates from Palestine, but it is hot and poppin' from Palestine. Like, it probably does originate. I mean, might as well. Maybe we'll do a little segment on that in the future. But either way, the cops got insulted by their fly moves and said, just because I can't move like that means that you cannot move like that in public. Okay, let's take a look at the next. A bit of censorship. So what we have here is Netflix deleting 19 Palestinian films. And I didn't even... I was surprised that they even had these in the first place. So, previously, Netflix launched Palestinian Stories, a Netflix collection of 32 films that would showcase the depth and diversity of the Palestinian experience, exploring people's lives, dreams, families, friendships, and love. Now, the Palestinian Stories Netflix page only shows one film. And like I said, I'm surprised that they even had these in the first place. I mean, Netflix is known for cuties, right? So it's still surprises me that people even use Netflix at this point. And it says here, storytelling is a crucial aspect of keeping Palestinian history alive. Netflix is literally erasing Palestinian stories and perspectives from popular culture. So they have this campaign going where they are asking everybody, this is coming from Code Pink Alert on Instagram. If you look them up, Code Pink, they're, Jews for Palestine essentially. They're saying, tell Netflix, reinstate deleted Palestinian films. So if you're a subscriber to Netflix, definitely that ought to be on the agenda immediately. Or even if you're not, right? So, let's take a look here. Alright, so we're going to be going on to the next segment. And this is the Sudanese genocide. I mean, I don't see anybody else calling it that. But I figured I might as well call it that because it is a massacre upon a massacre when it comes to the RSF, that's what it is, doing all this slaughtering. So let's take a look here. This comes...
Let's rank these people blindly.
So this is a video from a user on Instagram. His name is Modathir Zaina Alabdin. Yeah, there's his username. And yeah, so I couldn't really find too many people talking about what was going on in Sudan directly that are like Sudanese and whatnot that have connections to the charity groups that are going on out there where they're giving aid to the Sudanese people, because right now the RSF has blocked off all entry of aid into the Darfur, I think is like the region. We're gonna get more into these details in these videos. It'll refresh my memory. But so there is a region in Sudan where people are basically being caged in like animals, much like Gaza. It's pretty much like a mirror image, similar thing. So this guy right here, his username that you see, it has connections to a charity that is working in there, and we're going to mention what that charity is here in the coming slides.
Let's rank these people blindly, and hopefully we won't be offensive. But first, if you care about Sudanese people and you're willing to help, please consider saving Al-Gnina. Donate to them however you can. They are providing meal and healthcare assistance for Sudanese people inside.
Oh, whoa. One button and it's all gone.
Sudan and also in the refugees camps in Adri. This initiative is a grassroots initiative and held and operated by Sudanese people. And do not think of any amount of money as very little or not enough. Believe me, every single penny counts, and it's around paycheck time. So if you've got a couple coins to spare, I'll tag the accounts here somewhere. You know where to find them and to donate. So do that. And also, thank you for keeping your eye on Sudan. Skater. Actually, I don't mind. Y'all in my top 4. And I wish I had better knees. I would have joined y'all. Punk. Well, somewhere in the middle. Y'all get a lot of negative stereotypes, but how is the hygiene, though? Cowboys. Y'all are gonna build the wall, y'all.
Okay. So, yeah, he did a little activity in the video, but we don't need to stick around for that. So, the charity he mentions is... Actually, the website for it is Hope and Haven for Refugees. Let me turn the... Okay. Come on. Okay. Glitch. Okay. Oh, that's loud. Okay. Yeah. There you go. There you can see it. You can see it. Hope and Haven for Refugees.org. It's called L something. What did he call it? Because the captions did not read what he said properly. I'm trying to remember. Aldana? Something like that. Alright.
And healthcare assistance for Sudanese people inside Sudan and also in the
let's take a look
camps
at
in Adri. This initiative.
Oh, another oopsie, man. I'm just full of them today. So this slide is titled Sudanese Genocide by RSF backed by UAE death toll. So the death toll has been getting pretty high when it comes to this topic. And it says here, I've read some reports a year ago about what would lead to the world's biggest genocide. Okay. I've read some reports a year ago about how the war in Sudan could lead to the world's biggest genocide in recent times, exceeding Rwanda, and no, it doesn't look far from reality. A whole village was wiped out yesterday and nobody but an eyelash. My whole country could. So this is from roughly a week or two ago when they reported on this.
In a single village in a Jazeera state, central Sudan, more than 500 people have been killed. The RSF have
Let's rank these people blindly.
Well, I have the numbers here because I made a mistake, but the numbers are pretty high. Okay. Wow.
In a single village in a Jazeera state, central Sudan, more than 500 people have been killed. The RSF have lined up the men of the village and killed each one of them. Bodies are scattered in the street. The women of the village are now killing themselves. Up to 100 who have been hearing reports of 100 women committing suicide just so they could protect themselves from the RSF, sexual violence and sexual terrorism. For an entire week, the RSF have been committing a lot of massacres and genocides all over Al Jazeera state. They have lined up children and shot them at their heads. They have killed patients in hospitals. They have killed people with disabilities, actually slaughtered people with disabilities, all because an RSF commander has surrendered to the army. Central Sudan, Al Jazeera is bleeding. SOS.
Dubai, get your filthy hands off Sudan, is what it says there. So, yeah. You'll have to excuse me, like, the details aren't very good on this. I wasn't able to, for whatever reason, put these all properly in order, so I don't know how many of these slides are just not going to be in order to the point where I'm not going to be able to read the information, but we're going to just read as much information as we can. So, this is the survivors of the RSF massacre, directly from their perspective, what they have to say about everything that's going on out there. And this comes from Where the Peace on Instagram.
جو شالوا العربيتين وشالوا الموتر وبعد ذاك جو لعرضي بدك الزرافه دي لازم نتزوجها وبكره لو ما جبتها لنا في الاتكال موت طوالي وانا هربت بالليل ببيتي. كل الانتهاكات ضد المواطن عملوها من السلب والاغتصاب والجريمه كله 4 انفار حطوهم كده دار الصفون قاموا في اثنين قالوا احنا عندنا قروش ده اخوي قال خلاص تعالوا باقينا الاثنين دول صفون ضد طويله ضد طويله بدون اي سبب بدون اي سبب واحده قاعده هنا الثاني ذاك قاعد في راسه هذول الماده دفنها جوا البيت اختي ما عارفها وين كانوا تردي جات اختي الان ما جات وبنات عمي الان ما جو ما عارف الحاصل عليهم شنو قاعدين مستنينا قتلوا كم نفر يعني بعد ما طلعنا من الحله قالوا لنا في نسوان لقيناهم ميتين في الشارع نسوان ميتين ما عرفناهم من الحله او نازحين جايين من منطقه ثانيه وارهبوا الناس دي والناس دي تعبت تعب شديد في ناس ماتوا في الشارع في ناس ماتوا جوع عطش.
Okay. So I'll do a little translation for everything that was just said there. This wound is from them when they hit me. And it says here, survivors of an RSF massacre in Sudan tell the brutal stories that they encountered before escaping. They dragged me by my beard and put a gun to my ear. When my wife screamed, they hit her and pushed her away. They stole my 2 cars and a motorcycle. And then after all this, they came for my honor. They told me, we want your daughter, and if you don't bring her to us, we will kill you. So I ran away with my daughter at night. They assaulted civilians in all kinds of ways. They used verbal assaults, looting, rape, and torture, everything. They got 4 people and made them stand in a row. 2 of them said, "We have money," so they let them go. The others in the row were killed without any reason. One of them was shot in the chest and the other in the head. We buried them inside a house. I don't know where my sister is. My family escaped except for my sister. My girl cousins have also not come. We don't know what happened to them. We are waiting for them. They killed countless people. While fleeing, we saw dead bodies on the ground. Women dead on the streets. We don't know if they were from our villages, or they'd been displaced to that area. They unleashed terror. They unleashed terror on these people. People are so tired. So many people died on the way, on the streets from exhaustion. People died from hunger and thirst. The UN says 14 million people were displaced since the conflict began, and have documented at least 400 cases of sexual violence. Human rights groups say women are opting for suicide to escape sexual assaults. Those who survived the attacks described it as a massacre. This is a criminal militia. No one knows their evil but God. Yeah, so that's where that ends. Yeah, so that is a first-person perspective from the survivors of the RSF right now in Sudan. So it is a literal bloody mess. Okay, so we're going to get on into a fun segment, but before we do that, we're going to do another brief intermission, except it's going to be a lot shorter than the last one, I tell you that. Okay, so we're going to take a short intermission for about 5 minutes roughly. So go ahead, get your drinks and whatnot, do what you gotta do, and we'll be back in a moment. And we're back. Live with the Native Tea Podcast. Gotta do my chores in between doing this. I think I'm gonna open the window. Why not? It's getting warm. It's getting warm over here in Michigan, so got those warm days. Okay, and we're finally gonna get back into this. We're gonna look at some memes here. Memes of the week. Memes here. Memes of the week. Oh, what's the deal? What do we got? What happened? Oh my gosh. Alright, let's okay. Yeah. Yeah, this comes to us from The Reality of Palestine. It's a simple meme. Netanyahu pointing at a picture of a baby, saying, Hamas. Because we all know that they pronounce Hamas with an extra K that doesn't exist. Hamas. Hamas. So, yeah, very simple. Hamas. Yeah. So the next meme comes to us from Casey Frey. I'm including this because I used this in the announcement of the podcast initially on YouTube. And this is from the video. And if anybody is intimidated by thirst traps, I do not recommend watching the thirst trap we're about to watch. But this is Casey Frey from his video, Come Here, Let Me Teach You Something. This is what the gif that I included was from, where he's rubbing his hands and he's got his like his muscles at the base of his neck flexed up all the way, his shoulder muscles. Yeah, this is the gif that I used. So we're gonna take a look here at what video this is actually from.
You acting crazy right now.
Okay. Oh, what's up? Haven't seen you in an eternity. Hope you're doing well. Been thinking about you. Happy late birthday and all that. Alright, so let's take a look at Casey Frey's meme. I don't know if you're still in here. I see that you wrote something in the chat though. It's been a little glitchy. But that was me saying a shout out to Mate Tudor.
Man, you acting crazy right now. While I enjoy the view. Oh, you got those panties, I got you too, huh? God damn, girl. You acting real crazy, huh? Can I tell you something? You gonna make me act up. You don't make me do something I'm gonna regret. Come here, baby. Let me teach you something.
So it's actually one of my favorite videos on the internet. Definitely one of my favorites. So if anybody's interested in seeing the memes that I enjoy, you can check out my You're Gay playlist. That's my meme playlist. It's got like 700 videos. We're going strong in there. And I try to keep it to the videos being at least 1 minute or less. And then I have my longer memes in another playlist. So that's definitely probably one of them. Alright, so let's take another look at the memes of the week. So the next meme that we have comes from Zilverk Chu, who is a Mexicana comedian, and he does VR, and he dresses as the Ugandan Knuckles skin, if you all remember that meme. He dresses as the silly little, the goofy, goony looking Knuckles. And it's just so perfect the way that he voices over this character in basically any scenario. Now this is regarding basically when your mom is basically, like, what is it? Esperando para comida de su mamá. Oh my god, my ears. I'm so sorry, everybody. I just assaulted everybody's ears.
Está bueno, pero ya, comiste para el enuco, ¿no? Para el bebesote, acá. Tengo hambre, chico, ya se comer, mamá, por favor.
So, I'm not like fluent in Spanish, but yeah, I'm sure you can just tell from the body language and all that. He's like, he's being tortured by his mom, listening to cumbias while she's getting her dinner ready. But so if you ever want to practice your really, really ratchet Spanish and just, you know, laugh a little bit, Zilverk Chu on Instagram. He also has an English channel on Instagram as well that has subtitles in English. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the next meme, and I'm gonna keep the volume down like a professional from now on. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is gonna be Hitler phoning Netanyahu. And I don't usually use that term verb-wise, phone, but Hitler phones Netanyahu. And so this comes from a YouTube channel called Hitler Rants Paradise. Oh, geez, dyslexia. Hitler Rants Parodies. Yeah, okay. So this is going to be a couple minutes long.
Faschismus. Woher kommt die Schießerei? Mein Führer, darf ich Ihnen zum Geburtstag gratulieren? Ohne Befehl des Staates ist ein Fahnenflucht. Verrat! Mein Führer, wir haben noch keine Meldung. Ich spreche gerade mit Koller. Koller, geben Sie mir Koller. Koller.
Hitler.
Sie wissen, dass Berlin unter Artilleriefeuer liegt.
There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach. There's nowhere we will not go to protect our people and protect our country.
hören Sie den Beschuss nicht?
אני מחזיק כאן את הספר של היטלר בערבית, מיין קאמפף. את הספר הזה מצאו לוחמינו בבתים של אזרחים ברצועת עזה.
Die Russen sollen eine Eisenbahnbrücke über die Oder haben.
באיזה חוצפה אתה משווה בין החמאס שרצח ושרף וביטר וערף ואנס וחטף את אחינו ואחיותינו? לבין חיילי צה"ל שנלחמים מלחמה צודקת שאין כמוה במוסריות שאין דומה לה. זה עיוות מוחלט של המציאות.
Nur um zu lernen, wie man Messer Gabel hält.
This is a soldier. This is a tunnel.
Das sind ja 12 Kilometer bis zum Stadtkern. Ist der Russe schon so nah?
This is the Middle East. And this is the entire Arab world.
Besuchen Sie ihn!
And this is Israel. It's one of the world's tiniest countries.
Haben Sie noch Zweifel an einem Befehl? Ich glaube!
And here's Gaza there. This is the red thing that you see here. That's Gaza.
Ich habe mich klar genug ausgedrückt.
I want to zoom in. When I zoom in, remember how tiny this is. Remember the distances. Now take a look. Here it is enlarged. This is Israel.
Das ist der schlimmste Verrat von allen.
This is the Mediterranean Sea. The Jordan River is right here. This is Egypt and the Sinai Desert.
Fremde, unberechenbare Künstler. All die anderen, ja.
Now look at Gaza. Where is Gaza?
Ich will zerfetzt.
Gaza is implanted in this tiny country, 30 miles from Tel Aviv, 40 miles from our capital, Jerusalem, 30 miles from Beersheba. These are three of Israel's largest cities. Gaza is within spitting distance to them.
Die gesamte Generalität ist in 2000 Haufen. Niederträchtige, treulose Feiglinge. Aber alle diese Verräterinnen bezahlen.
Today, Israel is being attacked by Iran and its proxies on 7 fronts. The Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shiite militias in Iraq and in Syria, Iran-backed terror attacks in Judea and Samaria, and of course, attacks directly conducted by Iran itself, as the world saw on April 14th. In defending ourselves against this Iranian terror axis, Israel stands on the front lines against a regime that threatens the entire Middle East, threatens the entire world. This is why all those who seek a more secure and stable Middle East should fully support Israel's action against this terror axis in Yemen, in Gaza, in Lebanon, and elsewhere. And to Israel's enemies, I have a simple message. Do not doubt Israel's determination to defend itself on every front. All those who seek to harm us will pay a very heavy price for their aggression.
Die Korruption in unserem Staat möglich gemacht.
במשך 8 החודשים האחרונים, החות'ים שיגרו מאות טילים בליסטיים, טילי שיוט ומל"טים נפץ. כל זה יורד בהצלחה על ידי מערכת ההגנה הישראלית, בסיוע ידידותינו ארצות הברית וגם בסיוע מדינות נוספות. אני מבקש להודות להם. May we together know a future of prosperity and peace.
Das ist unerhört. Unerhört. Der Russe steckt 12 Kilometer vom Stadtkern. Und ich erfahre das sozusagen auf Nachfrage.
Mein Führer, vielleicht handelt es sich ja wirklich um Fernfeuer. Sie erwähnten eine Eisenbahnbrücke über die Oder.
Ach, Unsinn.
Yeah. So that's pretty silly that even with this parody, he's showing that in this hypothetical, that even Hitler himself is like, dude, when will this end? This is enough. And, you know, Netanyahu says, oh, I won't be surrounded in a bunker by my enemies. And it's like, okay, Netanyahu, haven't you been in a bunker for the past month, practically? So, yeah, that's the goofiness of that all. So, let's take a look at the next meme of the week. What do we got? What do we got? Where's my pen? I don't know where my pen is. I do have more than one pen, so I'm good. Okay, so the next meme is, average day in Iran. And this comes to us from Islamic Reminder -692 on YouTube. Yeah, I had to include that as a meme because it was just so beautiful. You know me, I'm a Turtle Islander and indigenous, so, you know, I would rather the US flag be defiled at all costs because it is a symbol of genocide, colonialism of the indigenous people here of Turtle Island. Basically, we were forced into signing every one of those treaties. So, alright. We're gonna take a look at the coolest granny. Coolest granny you'll ever see. And this comes from spice_watermelon on, or spice_the watermelon on YouTube. Whoa, the audio is crazy. Okay, it's just my headphones. Okay. Yeah, and there's his thumbnail, the watermelon guy. Yeah, and they used the same song pretty much. So, yeah, as you can see there, that was basically a Zionist supporter holding out a Zionism flag, also known as the Israeli flag, which is, we're going to go into this at some point. The state of Israel is abusing the marriage between the masculine and the feminine with those two triangles with that star symbol, because that star symbol has to do with the masculine, which is the upright triangle, and the inverted triangle being the feminine, layered together in harmony, where the mind is in a state of harmony between the aspects of being physical and emotional, thought and spirit. So, yeah. So what we see here in this clip, though, is a Zionist holding a Zionist flag, and a, you know, the coolest granny you'll ever see, basically being a pro-Palestine supporter, taking the flag and running away from it. Or running away from the person. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna chase down an old lady that steals your thing? I mean, this clip right here proves that there are still elders in this world. Very few and far between, it seems. But there are still elders being wise, as they ought to be. Go, Grammy. Go, Granny. Go. Go. I love seeing the people, like, root her on, cheer her on, and, like, pumping their fists in the background there. That's great. Okay. So, we have 2 more memes to go here. The next one comes to us from Munchie Monk. He has a YouTube channel. He very rarely uploads to it. He says in the description that he doesn't like YouTube. And then he uploads onto Instagram. I don't know if his TikTok account is still available. They're taking down pro-Palestine accounts left and right on TikTok and whatnot. So, this is Jubilee in the 1600s. 1 slave owner versus 20 slaves, from Munchie_Monk_.
I believe slavery is wrong. Nice to meet you. Yeah, hi. I just don't think you should be able to own people. Okay, but answer me this. Do I not feed you? Do I not provide you a home? You know I let you live here for free and I don't even charge you rent. Ah, can't answer that, can you? Why don't you think about that next time you're out in the fields?
Weird.
Here at Jubilee, we're all about promoting empathy through discussion because both these sides are valid.
Oh my god. So check him out. He's pro-Palestinian. Pro-Palestine. He's not Palestinian. He's a I don't think he's Mexica. He's like Ecuadorian or something like that. So he's still in like the Maya family of being a native somewhere along the ways. But me and him basically have somewhat relatively similar ancestors. So check him out, fellow indigenous comedian. And so the next headline, or meme headline rather, is going to be the last one for these memes, and then we're going to get back into the dense material. And then we're going to get back into some lighter topics as we go. We're going to weave in and out. So this is this is a cop versus an inflatable jack-o'-lantern. This was circulating on YouTube and through different news outlets. So, you know, instead of reporting on anything really important, like super important, this is the headline that is making news. This clip comes to us from KHOU so that's K Houston, basically, from a Houston news channel on YouTube.
Well, this video is now going viral after a huge inflatable Halloween pumpkin was on the run from police in Ohio. You can see it toppling over in the streets, trying to get away from police. At one point, an officer tried to grab it before getting eaten by the thing. We are happy to report, though, that no inflatables or people were harmed in this chase.
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, right?
Look at that thing. Now, you can get those at, Costco, places like that, or Home Depot. I've never seen a pumpkin that big.
We got to really strap it down is the thing, you know?
It appears they tried to, but not good enough.
Yeah, that pumpkin looks like it was for, like, some industrial thing. Like, it could have been a pumpkin at a haunted house or a corn maze or whatever. Because there would be corn mazes in Ohio, I would think, since Ohio's not that far from where I live in South Michigan. We gotta send more pumpkins out there to get these police. Interrupt their fake crime fighting that a lot of them do. That a majority of them do, really. Okay. So that concludes the memes of the week. Yes. I keep mixing up these earbuds. Alright, so we're gonna move on to the resistance forces to the Zionist army segment. Where I put it at? There it is. What? Oh, I think I made an oopsie and I accidentally kept this slide in. Okay, there we go. Resistance forces to the Zionist army. And this is an old image. It's a vintage image from, like, roughly the 1950s or 1970s or something like that. It was from around that time period, or maybe the 1940s even. But, so this is between that time frame. And this comes to us from Sammy_Gemayel. And he is actually a Lebanese politician that is very active on Instagram. This is from Instagram. So this is an update from Save Shekhajara 92. And it says evacuation orders of settlements in Israel, October 26th. That's when this announcement was given. And it says breaking. Resistance forces in Lebanon have issued evacuation orders for 25 settlements in northern Israel, warning of impending strikes on military installations. Okay. What? Oh, okay. So this is the evidence of the drones, and this is from the same user. The suicide drones over Israel. Several suicide drones from Lebanon have been flying over western Israel for 30 minutes to an unknown location. Air defenses have failed to intercept them, with one Iron Dome missile falling on a settlement. Oof. Oof. Too bad for the colonialist state, you know. It seems the Israeli government doesn't care about the safety of the Israeli citizens. If they really, cared about those hostages, then they probably would have gotten them back by now. And they probably wouldn't be just bombing people all willy-nilly. So this ain't pretty. Oh, I didn't fix that. Alright, so this is the next little article that we have here is about Yahya Sinwar. And so this is a letter that emerges from Yahya Sinwar ordering that Israeli captives in Gaza be treated well. This is a letter that emerges shortly after his assassination, and this comes to us from Mint Press on Instagram.
Hi, if you're seeing this, I have been remanded for taking action.
Okay. So this next portion that we're looking over here is the Filton 10. They're a active resistance group that take on the initiative of stopping the violence at the physical cause, the physical source rather. So where Lebanon is basically responding to the violence with retaliation, the Filton 10 are destroying the weapons that are used in these bombings. And so this video is of Fatima Zainab, one of the many activists that have now been jailed, kidnapped as a result of their participation in a recent destruction of several weapons inside of Elbit. And Elbit is the main distributor of these weapons in Israel. I don't know if there are any other distributors, but Elbit is the one doing it. So this is from
Hi, if you're seeing this,
Fatima.
I have been remanded for taking action against Elbit. Elbit is a company that manufactures and battle tests weapons on Palestinians and aids and abets in the murder and the genocide of Palestinians every single day. We reject our complicity in the British arms trade, and we reject our complicity in the capitalization of the murder of black and brown bodies in our name. Shut Elbit down.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Shut Elbit down. So, yeah, this is right before they went in. So, good thing she at least made a video before she became kidnapped. I'm gonna plug the tablet in. Okay. So, let's take a look at the next portion here that is about the this is a Free Filton 10. That's the little campaign. So who are the Filton 10? Well, these are several activists, and due to an error when it comes to organizing this, I can only read so much information. So this is a quote from one of the actionists. I guess they're not using the word activist, actionist. This is what the British state does when you act on your moral duty to resist settler colonialism. That comes from Samuel Corner. Okay, Leona Camio. And a quote from her is, "My heart is forever with the Palestinian people. My head is held high, and my crowbar is in some Israeli apartheid weapon." That's an iconic quote. This is a quote from Hannah Davidson. On June 2024, Hannah broke into the allegedly cost Kent's Israeli weapons factory. Over £1 million in damages. In August, she was arrested from her home in Scotland and cuffed behind her back during an 8-hour drive and then detained without charge. She is accused of being connected to the Filton action. So I guess this is Elbeat inside of the UK, where all of this went on, from the looks of it. Now this is William Plastow, one of the actionists. During another raid, William Plastow, so that's like I don't know where the origins are of that name, if that's a Slavic name or what. He was thrown out of his house by counterterrorism police and arrested. His house remained taped up and off limits for his partner who lives at the property for a week after the arrest. William, 33, is a scriptwriter who previously blockaded and disrupted an Elbeat weapons factory in Leicester. I don't know. I don't know your UK towns, okay? Leicester. If anybody in the UK chat wants to correct me, please do. I'll look it up later, I guess. This is Ian Sanders. Ian Sanders was arrested during a raid whilst house sitting for his cousin in Yorkshire. Armed counterterrorism police. See, that's a very specific term. Counterterrorism police. How ironic, because they are the terrorists and they're trying to continue to enforce terrorism. This really is the whole inverted 1984 backwards speak. Counterterrorism police, wearing balaclavas, surrounded the house and arrested Ian with 4 guns pointing towards his head. They were having fun with him. In January 2023, Madeline scaled the roof of Leonardo's Edinburgh. They have a funny pronunciation for that, but it's like Edinburgh. Leonardo's Edinburgh factory, causing extensive damage to the producers of laser targeting systems for Israel's F-35 fighter jets. In August, they were taken from their home, so this is a non-binary person or potentially trans. In August, they were taken from their home and accused of being associated with the action against Elbeat's Filton 10 research hub. Elbeat's Filton research hub. So this is how you can support the Filton 10, and if you want to look at this post in full, it comes from Hi, if you're seeing this, Pal_action on Instagram. You can see more of their coverage of the Filton 10. So it suggests here, though, how to support is 1, write to them directly at palactprisoners@protonmail.com. Number 2, free the hashtag Filton10 banners and signs to your local protests. And 3, mobilize for their plea hearing, which is going to be 9:30 a.m. January 17th, 2025 at the Old Bailey. I assume that's going to be somewhere in UK. Okay. Alright. So we're going to take another brief intermission, and we're going to come back to the Palestinian people and culture, and we're going to be covering some people that I've been talking to personally. I think. Yes, we are going to. Yes, and we're going to look at Palestinian people and culture. So everybody, take a break, and we'll be back in a moment. Alright, we're back. Palestinian people and culture. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the POV of a father and son in Gaza trying to survive the bombing in just an average day. Oh, maybe, maybe that comes later? I might have made a mistake here. No, I didn't. Well, I did. I put that somewhere else. So instead, we're actually looking at Hatem al-Najjar, and this is a friend of mine from Gaza, who is a father of, I don't know exactly how many children he has, but he has at least 2 children. Very, very young. And he very recently has just gotten over a surgery of a colonoscopy or something of the sorts. And so because of the consistent bombardment and attacks on the hospitals, he, at the very center of Gaza, has not been able to get the adequate medicine that he needs to help with the intense pain that comes along with healing. So, this is a video from him, and this is his Instagram handle, Hatem _ al-Najjar _ GoFundMe. So it's been a very difficult road for him and many people in a similar circumstance where they're attempting to do all they can to overcome the pain of healing from a surgery without proper medication, or even going through surgery without proper medication. So, and what he has written here is, please help me and my friend. Please help me, my friends. I want to buy medicine for me. I have severe colitis. Please help me. I want to live for my children, to take care of them and protect them. Please, I beg you, help me, my friends. So yeah, it's an extremely urgent situation for many people like Hatem in Gaza. So if you are willing, able, and ready to help, either through donation, then his GoFundMe is listed on his Instagram account as well as his PayPal. And this video, it will take me a moment, but I'm going to add in the description for this live stream, and it's going to be there, and it will also be available in the highlights for these segments of the live stream. So the link will be available here, but for now, until then, you can easily look up his name. And so the next person is Mohamed Hamouda. He needs to evacuate from the north. He's in Jabalia. Now, at this point, I'm not exactly sure what his status is, so I'll have to check in with him soon to see what's going on with him. But he is a young married man, so he needs to be able to evacuate for him and his wife. I don't know if they have children. I just know so far they're a young married couple. So this is a snapshot of the GoFundMe fundraiser for him on GoFundMe. And the title of the fundraiser is Help Evacuate the Hamouda Family Out of Gaza. And they are roughly, at the time of me having taken this screenshot about a week and a half ago, they were roughly almost halfway there with their goal. And the URL is gofund.me/3F01A4FF for their fundraiser. Okay, so the next story that we're looking at here, so it looks like I didn't properly include the father and son POV, so we're gonna move on to the Palestinian thobes trend. And the Palestinian thobe is a traditional sort of dress, like attire, that is commonly worn by women. Men wear them too. There's different designs for men and women. I'm sure that there's unisex designs as well. I'm not exactly sure. But right now, we're going to be focusing on this trend that is going on where people are dressing in different attire, and she decided to turn it into a Palestinian thobe trend. So this comes to us from Sena.Nemir on Instagram. Yeah, that was a very, very good transition. So let's check that out one more time. Yeah, so as you can tell, the thobe is very, very intricately designed when it comes to the stitchings on them. Very beautiful. And so let's go back, though, to the first slide before we move on to the next segment. So the very first slide there was an image from an Instagram account from Sufia Anna on Instagram. And they have this snapshot of somebody writing this on some social media, and it says, "My friendly annual reminder that this symbol you see everywhere this time of year, as in during the winter season, is not a snowflake. It is the 8-pointed Bethlehem star, a tatriz embroidery symbol that has decorated Palestinian artwork for centuries and was brought to Europe via the Crusades." Yeah, so little tidbit of information there about the Palestinian culture. So we're gonna move on here to the next segment. Yeah. Okay, turn the volume down. Okay. So this is pro-genocide politicians in the U.S. And this is a political cartoon that comes to us from Emma del Rosso on Instagram. And so it's basically all these politicians, so we got Uncle Sam, we got, I don't know, that might be a Canadian symbol of the person with the star-spangled banner on their neck. I don't know, but these are obviously like UK and US symbols and icons. They're all covering their eyes and, oh, woe is me, saying, "Stop, please, ceasefire, restraint," as they're all dumping just cash into the backpack of Netanyahu, and it says military funds where they're all dumping, and Netanyahu is just, he is sporting a Nazi-style armband on his shoulder of a Israeli flag. And he's got a pistol in one hand and then a missile in the other hand. So that's the political cartoon that we got here. Very accurate, unfortunately. So let's go to check out. This is going to be about Biden. Yeah, Biden could have ended the genocide with a phone call. Other presidents have, and this comes from IMEU policy. For months, President Biden and Vice President Harris have said they've supported a ceasefire. But President Biden has said there is every reason to believe Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is delaying a ceasefire in order to stay in power. And yet Biden has refused to use the most fundamental leverage he has to get a ceasefire. Cutting off the billions of dollars of weapons the U.S. provides to Israel. If President Biden were truly serious about a ceasefire, he could have done it with a phone call. In 1982, President Ronald Reagan called Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin to demand that he end Israel's brutal siege of Beirut, with Reagan reportedly saying, "Menachem, this is a Holocaust." Wow, so this is not the first time that Israel has had to get slapped down by the other political puppets. Israel stopped its attacks on Beirut 20 minutes later. After Israel attacked and occupied Gaza and the Egyptian Sinai Peninsula in 1956, President Dwight Eisenhower threatened Israel with multilateral sanctions. Israel withdrew its forces in response. Other presidents have also withheld funding to Israel as leverage. In 1991, President George H.W. Bush withheld $10 billion in loan guarantees to Israel in order to pressure Israel to stop using U.S. funds towards its illegal theft of Palestinian land. This is crazy. So even these really corrupt politicians are still like, that's too much Israel. So Israel has just been like gung-ho, let's go full force satanic genocide from the beginning. It's been bad. And the US has been like, it's too much. We're satanic and genocidal, but that's too much over there for you, Israel. And President Harry Truman refused to ship a single weapon to Israel during the Nakba out of concern for the violence Israel inflicted on Palestinians. Since 1948, however, the U.S. has provided more than $141 billion in weapons to Israel. Historically, Israel only stops its violence towards Palestinians and Lebanese when the U.S. threatens to, or does stop, these weapons from flowing. We need a ceasefire now, and that's why we need the Biden administration to impose an arms embargo on Israel now. So that is from IMEU Policy on Instagram. And I thought this was a bit of a funny video because I am a Michigander. So this clip comes from Michigan. It actually is from the account Hidden Palestine on Instagram. So Trump tries to win the Muslim vote in a Michigan rally. Obviously, at the time of this recording, we know that it was relatively successful, I guess. So it's just a bit of a funny clip just because of how eager he is to get them handshakes in.
Good afternoon, Michiganders. As the president said, we just had a positive meeting with President Trump. We as Muslims stand with President Trump because he promises peace. He promises peace, not war. We are supporting Donald Trump because he promised to end war in the Middle East and Ukraine. The bloodshed has to stop all over the world. And I think this man can make that happen. I personally believe that God saved his life twice for a reason.
Yeah. I guess we'll see how well that works out now for the rest of the world to be dealing with this. Another slave master in power. So now this is Nancy Pelosi versus pro-Palestinian Jews.
Thank you for saying we have to stop sending bombs to Israel to stop the killing. How do we
Yeah, she basically ejects a pro-Palestinian Jewish American who questions her about the the Gazan genocide, the Palestinian genocide. So let me turn the volume up.
Thank you for saying we have to stop sending bombs to Israel to stop the killing. How do we use the art of power to do that, to stop the bombs?
So we're going to take some questions from the audience. One is Saudi Arabia.
Power to stop the killing. Please answer the question. How do we stop the bombs? Stop the killing. Stop the bombs. Stop the killing.
Yeah, very anti-Semitic of her to be throwing out a Jewish person that is standing up for, a Holocaust to end. Oh boy. So, yes, this concludes the segment of the pro-genocide politicians in the United States. So we're going to be looking at music artists and new releases. So this is not particularly all about what's going on out in the Arab countries of Palestine and Lebanon. This is going to be broader. So we're going to be looking at Turtle Island artists as well, including a Japanese artist. So the instrument that we have here is a common instrument that is played in Palestine. It is a Palestinian instrument, and I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head now that I look at it. But this image comes from tasnim-ibrahim.medium.com. And so this is Sami Madoun, who is a very young teenage teen boy, who is a music artist in Gaza, and as he's doing what he can to survive, he is also continuing on with his career as a music artist. Yeah. So that's Sami Madun. And we're going to take a look at his links here so you can check him out further on Bandcamp and Spotify. But that's his Instagram. You can go ahead and follow him there. Sami.madun. Oh, I guess I didn't... Excuse me. I didn't include his links to his Bandcamp and Spotify, but at least in the slides here, but they will be included in the document that lists all the links for these posts. When I get around to it, it will be listed in the description. You will I think there's too many links for this, so like I said, it will be all these links will be inside of a document, except the more urgent links will be listed in the description for the video. Unless you're looking at this from the highlight. If you're looking at it from the highlight, then the links for Sami Madun in his Bandcamp, Spotify, and fundraiser will be available on the highlight segment. Okay, so let's take a look here at Lila June's new song. Okay. So this is Lila June and Desiree Harp with the song Native Woman, and you can find her on YouTube and Instagram. On YouTube, this is where I got the video. It's from Lila June on YouTube. Check the volume. Alright, here we go.
The future is Indigenous women.
Native women, Indigenous women, keepers of the heartbeat, keepers of the rhythm. Native women, Indigenous women, we've been right here from the beginning. Trust your medicine, you were chosen to wake up medicine in the earth. You're the return of your ancestors. Know your power and know your worth.
The seeds are bursting through. They thought that we were through, but we're just getting started, and there's nothing they can do to top us or drop us, beat us or block us. 'Cause 500 years of genocide couldn't stop. Look into the dictionary and you'll see the definition of indigenous resilience. This is native women, my great 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 grandmother's vision. They tried to stamp it out, but the phoenix is risen.
Native women, Indigenous women, keepers of the heartbeat, keepers of the rhythm. Native women, Indigenous women, we've been right here from the beginning. Trust your medicine, you were chosen to wake up medicine in the earth. You're the return of your ancestors. Know your power and know your worth.
If you're in Cali with the wind, you always constant with Menominee. If you're a basket weaver, oh, you make that Pueblo pottery. Snohomish or Lenape or Citizen Potawatomi. Illuminate the space with our indigenous. Like cedar smoke, we rise tight like tobacco ties. Like stars in the sky, we are beings of light. With our kin by our side, we walk with love and pride. Changing the world one prayer at a time.
Native women, Indigenous women, keepers of the heartbeat, keepers of the rhythm. Native women, Indigenous women, we've been right here from the beginning. Trust your medicine, you were chosen to wake up medicine in the earth. You're the return of your ancestors. Know your power and know your way of earth and the stars above. Ancestral strength We do not deserve to suffer. We deserve to heal. The trauma's not our fault. We've got a higher purpose here.
The future is indigenouswoman.com. Let's see if that'll still be there on the bottom. Yeah, the bar's gone. Cool. Alright, so the last thing under the category of music artists and new releases. This is just a interesting little video. This comes to us from Wins, but it's actually Keita Tachibana's Instagram account. So this is for any of my OG J-pop lovers. This is just them doing the stairs challenge in Taiwan. I thought it was kind of interesting because I didn't know the stairs challenge existed. So this is from Keita _ Tachibana _ 1985. Oh, of course Keita won. I figured he would. He's taller. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, he would win, but... yeah. So Keita was the guy on the right. Of course he won. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at Turtle Island, Halloween, Dia de Muertos, and news, and then we're gonna go to the last segment about the chipmunk. So this is a Indian Arttober image from Queen Loki _ 5477 on Instagram. She participated in the Indian Arttober, and this is from the day where we were covering coffee, kohwe, and this is the image that she ended up drawing for that day. So this is the Indian boarding school apology animation that comes to us from Isha _ Mayuk on Instagram, an indigenous that is partaking in the Tiny House Warriors group that is in Canada, that basically just protects the indigenous land out there from the miners coming in and permeating the earth and taking and stealing and harming our mother earth. So this is an animation as a response to the apology that Biden and the others decided to come along and make to the boarding schools. So this is basically how it feels for us as indigenous to receive that apology. It's basically nothing to us. It's absolutely nothing. And in this animation, it encapsulates what artistically, like metaphorically, was happening there, which was the decimation of children, because the US had trafficked all of these children, and they just call it like putting them into a boarding school, but it's ultimately they were trafficked to be murdered and assaulted and abused by the people at the boarding schools. Yeah, ultimately that's the sort of response a lot of us feel, is that, like, you know, you really can't apologize for genocide. The only adequate way to actually apologize for genocide is to stop doing the genocide, and the genocide's still going on. So, like, the apology is absolutely nothing. So, let's take a look here at this news headline that came out of a Tim Walz rally on the Dineta, the Dinipikea, the Navajo Nation. Diné arrested for Palestinian flag on Dineta, which is in the Navajo Nation. Jail support needed for Diné, arrested for carrying a Palestinian flag at the Walz rally on Dineta. And there's the Venmo, which is KE info shop. The Venmo is KE info shop. And this is from the Instagram account KE info shop. So, yeah. That is a Navajo person arrested for carrying a Palestinian flag at a Tim Walz rally in the Navajo Nation. So, I wonder, was it the Navajo police that did the arresting? Who was it? Either way, I still don't trust him. I don't trust him. Ain't no genocidal government needs to be trusted. Alright, so let's take a look at this headline that I found on YouTube. And I just thought it would be interesting because, you know, they like to announce these things saying, oh, we discovered this indigenous thing all of a sudden. And so this is another example of that. A Mayan city found. Yeah, okay. Found.
Archaeologists have discovered a huge ancient city hidden underground in Mexico, which may give a better understanding of the Maya civilization. Known for their distinctive temples and cities which stood for centuries, but due to factors such as war and disease, the Mayans faded into obscurity around 300 years ago. However, thanks to modern technology, including radar, archaeologists are now able to uncover civilizations in their native North and Central American countries, as Georgina Ranard explains.
Deep in the Central American jungle, the trees are hiding treasures. Radar, fired from a plane, peers through the canopy to search for ruins. This is in Guatemala, but archaeologists have now discovered another huge city, this time in Mexico. They're calling it Valeriana. Now, we don't have any pictures of Valeriana. That's because no one's been there for hundreds of years. So we thought we'd show you what it might have looked like here in this virtual studio. This is a Mayan pyramid temple, similar to the ones that would have been found in the city. People worshipped here, brought riches like jade masks, and even buried the dead. In total, the team found almost 7,000 buildings in an area of the jungle about the size of Edinburgh. Up to 50,000 people may have lived in this area at its peak in the 9th century. Alongside houses, the archaeologists found evidence of amphitheatres, plazas, and even a sports field for an ancient ball game.
It would have been a very colorful, very lush, and I think very striking environment to move through. Things like palaces and temple pyramids. All of those would have been covered in lime plaster and then painted red, pink, and yellow and black. There would have been clusters of buildings where people mostly spend their time making ceramics or mostly spend their time shaping stone tools. This part of the world, there's some evidence for marketplaces.
It took centuries, but war, climate change, and the Spanish invasion caused the collapse of the Mayans. But their descendants still live in Campeche today, and at the new site, just 15 minutes from a busy road, their ancient relatives lie beneath their feet. Georgina Ranard, BBC News.
Very bold of them to say that the Mayan people faded into obscurity? Like, what is that? Come on, guys. It's, you know, You can just say the words genocide, you know, indigenous genocide. It's not that hard. But I guess it is for the BBC and many other mainstream media outlets. Oh, unless it's the Jewish people. Unless it's the so-called Jewish people. Because at this point, they're not even referring to the Jewish people. They're talking about Zionists. Right? They're all willy-nilly. Alright, so I just thought that would be an interesting little headline to go over. These people having the gall to say that they found a Mayan city. Like, oh, okay, yeah, just because you guys found it? Who's not to say, like, a bunch of indigenous were already, like, hanging out there, like, every now and then, and just not telling you guys. Okay. I don't know about living out there, but they could have been hanging out, you know? Alright, so we're gonna look at the racist indigenous Halloween costume. Yeah, so, this is a little PSA from GNAA Powwow, and it's basically saying, Native culture is not your costume. Don't be an Indian, don't be a Native princess, and don't wear a headdress. But I saw a lot of indigenous saying, but what if we wear those costumes on Halloween? So that's a common theme where a lot of us joke about that. I don't know who's bold enough to really wear one. I'm sure a few people are. So, ooh. Alright, so this is the Dia de Muertos celebration in San Juan. It's the Mikayhuitl celebration. The 20th Mikayhuitl celebration. So it's the Dia de Muertos. Alright, so let's look. We got 2 reels here. I'm going to turn the volume down. We're going to get into it. So this comes from the account Kalpuli _ Tonale Kwa on Instagram. And we got another reel here. And this is how the event ended up turning out. The other video was from the year prior, I think. Either that or it was like taken earlier in the day. Earlier in the celebrations. so that's the powwow, so to speak. The Mikaihuitl ceremony. That, I don't know that much, I really don't know much of anything about that ceremony. But, yeah. Very similar to a powwow that's done out here, in terms of what you see clearly with the regalia, the dance generally, and whatnot. So, yeah. I have Mexica blood, so I certainly am quite drawn to the dances and whatnot from that style. I haven't actually seen one in person. I just recently went to a powwow out here in Michigan. It was the first time ever going to the Vibes with Tribes powwow. Pretty small function organization. So if you're out in Detroit next year, we'll be having the powwow in June. And you can stop on by and get some greasy, greasy fry bread. So, the next headline should be about, related to Dia de Muertos, but regarding honoring the martyrs of Palestine. So if I included the slide, then we're going to see it. So let's take a look. Yay, I did. So this was a call to action from the Latino Muslim Unity account on Instagram, and I'm sure many other pro-Palestinians were calling for this too. So thankfully, I didn't include the images here, because at the time that I put this together, it was right before Dia de Muertos. But, you know, thankfully, you could probably look it up on Instagram and find the images quite easily. But very, very many people did altars and celebrations honoring the Palestinian people that have lost their lives. So I even saw one person dressed up wearing a dress with a skull face painting or mask on, and the nice like crown ornaments that is often worn. And she, on her dress, had images of the many, many faces of people that have been lost in this recent genocide, or this recent extension of the genocide. And, yeah, so there are very, very, very many altars that were set up honoring the Palestinian people this past Dia Muertos. And so, yeah, let's move on to the next headline. And this is about a Métis elder getting his ponytail cut off while staying at a hospital in Canada. This comes from Decolonize Myself on Instagram.
My ponytail was gone, and I started screaming.
A Métis elder wants to know why his ponytail was cut off without his consent at a Saskatoon hospital. Reuben St. Charles broke his hip in late August. He was rushed to the Royal University Hospital, but when he woke up from surgery, his ponytail was gone.
And I started screaming. I used vulgar language. And I said, what is going on? I said, what happened to my freaking hair? And they couldn't give me an answer. And my braid, it meant a lot to me.
For many Indigenous people, long hair carries cultural significance. And St. Charles said he planned to give his braid to his sister as a gift.
I'm 73 years old. My ponytail, it took me damn near 30 years to grow. Over age, time, my ponytail was, I had a long ponytail up to here. So there's my whole dreams are all gone right there.
It made no sense. What on earth would provoke somebody to cut someone's hair when you're operating on his hip? It's not like he had a cut in his scalp. It's an assault, and one that was perpetrated without any thought to him.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority says it's investigating this incident. It said, quote, "We acknowledge the deep cultural significance of hair and braids in First Nations and Métis cultures and recognize that cutting hair without permission can cause emotional and spiritual harm, evoking past cultural trauma."
I just want an apology, not from the chairman or the board or whoever, the manager of the hospital system. I don't want like that. I want to see those two women, two nurses, wherever they were, to come up to my face and say, "We're sorry."
Yeah. 30 years to grow his hair out that long. Taken from him. Golly. So, the sort of wording that they were using there to describe this sort of thing, emotional, spiritual trauma in the past trauma. Really? Past trauma? It have nothing to do with, oh my gosh. They don't, it's like, it's a way of saying like, oh, we're sorry for upsetting your feelings because of the past and how you used to hold, your ancestors held onto these primitive things in the past, instead of actually like acknowledging that what they did was an assault, whether they like it or not. Taking somebody's hair? Don't we associate that with crazy people? When they take people's hair like that? Don't we associate that with somebody really, really creepy? When they take somebody's hair for their own purposes? So, yeah. It's just, it's quite ridiculous, and it's extremely shameful, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, that entire hospital needs to really be ashamed of themselves and need to do what they can to correct their name. And this is not the only case of racism when it comes to people in the hospitals functioning. Like, I just was listening to a story last night about how a woman in New York was murdered by her doctor. She was a pregnant woman, and the epidural basically was only supposed to go in a few inches, and he punctured, instead of into her about 3 or 4 inches, he went in 13 inches deep. And this is not the only woman that he killed, and not the only woman that died at that hospital, pregnant black woman. So there is this insane epidemic that I'm just, accepting more and more, because I honestly grew up in a community where not much of this was happening. There was we were mixed, but we weren't really, none of us had really come from, not as many of us anyway, had come from areas where there was very overt violent racism. That wasn't really a thing that me and the other people that were melanated were exposed to as much, really. So it has been a thing for me in the past few years to just accept that there actually is this unfortunate layer of racism that is going on towards melanated people, and it is ongoing and very persistent. We already have a genocide of the general overall population that's not involved in the cult, but then there are also hierarchies of more layers that can be added on to that. And one of them is melanation, unfortunately. So this is another drop in the bucket when it comes to the the war on brown people, essentially, on this planet right now. Yeah. So, in other news, however, we have a volcano from the Mexica land. I don't remember exactly where this was taken, but a volcano plumes a white heart, a giant heart. And these photos come from Hector Hector Rosas, yeah. And you can find his work at Neo Mexicanismos on Instagram. So here's the second image of the heart-shaped plume coming out of the volcano. Okay, so this is another song I could have included in the music artist, but I figured I should go in the Turtle Island segment. This is Haunted Dormitory from Basile XG, and you can find him, I think his name is just Basile, maybe? I don't know. So you can find him on Instagram at Basile XG. And here's the song, Haunted Dormitory. And this is regarding the boarding school genocide. So if you don't know anything about that, we're probably going to go into that a little bit more at some point, but essentially here in the United States and in Canada, so the very upper half of Turtle Island, or Turtle Island as a whole, I don't know, we still haven't really figured it out as a collective, what exactly, how we're going to name everything, but generally the Mexica land is like down there, and then Turtle Island is up here, but overall, all of the Americas we can consider Turtle Island too. I've come up with a system that is pretty basic when it comes to naming the different parts of Turtle Island, which is North Turtle Island, which is Canada, and then we have North Turtle Island, which is the United States, and then we have South Turtle Island, which is the Mexica area, and then we have South Turtle Island, which is the very bottom peninsula. So I'm just going to use that referencing because at this point we need red language in order to measure and quantify what is really going on here in Turtle Island from our own perspectives, our own voices and minds and hearts. So yes, anyway, in the territories of basically North Turtle Island, that being the United States and Canada, there were these boarding schools that were enforced where the government would come along, round up the children from the tribes basically, and inflict the crime of kill the Indian, save the man on all the children, basically cutting all of our children off from the ability to speak, act, and be, and practice the traditions, that being of the tribes that we come from. And so, unfortunately, a lot of these boarding schools were Catholic, Christian, and whatnot, and these nuns and priests and teachers and whatnot were basically abusing these children violently and using sexual violence on them as well. And so unfortunately, basically all of these boarding schools are known to have graveyards from all of the children that were claimed as victims to them. It's not like they killed every single kid in these boarding schools, right? But they killed a lot of children. A lot. So, yeah. And even the good old queen that passed away a few years ago was connected to a handful of boarding school Indigenous children going missing during a picnic that she was invited to the school for, right? Because she was the good old Queen of England, which was the good old crown of the Canada back in the day. So, let's take a look at the Haunted Dormitory from Basile.
That's the army base once a school, now a grave, but ain't a grave to choose. That's from wars overseas, wars a few, SA, a war for annihilation. Keep us in, and throw us out the reservation. Poor Dakota girls cuffed up to a pipe heater. My eyes bleeding, tears and fears of die beating. Misdiagnosed for speaking to demons, for spirits they see and magical things they dreaming. Descendants on the other side feeling the sequence. Learning to pray from pedophilic ignorant teachers. Learning to pray to a weaponized government. Appropriating what they killed us for since the mother. Past an army base once a school, now a grave, but ain't a grave to Jews. That's from wars overseas, just wars a few. SA, a war for annihilation. Keep us in, then throw us out the reservation. Pour the colder girls cuffed up to a pipe heater. My eyes bleed, tears and fears of die beating. Misdiagnosed for speaking to demons, for spirits they see and magical things they dreaming. Descendants on the other side feeling the sequence. Learning to pray from pedophilic ignorant teachers. Learning to pray to a weaponized government. Appropriating what they killed us for since the mothership landed. Branded, then hand to hand. Walk down the halls of your classrooms, Do you see the eyes of the hall looking at you? Did you ever read of them in your classrooms? Or did the priest vacuum right past you? Never thought I'd have to do this, but how many times have we heard about Jesus and Judas? Let's talk about a time that to me seems more ruthless. Brutal towards youth and forced movements, weaponized religion, memorizes Christian, plus whatever sect that they brought with them. Books shaped into shovels for mass shallow graves, all in the name of All Halloween, thy name. I knew a kid that wanted to be himself. 2 suspensions later, he was looking into mental health prisons, a system, but not so different, and probably.
I guess that's it. It cut off partway through. I guess he didn't post the full thing. Alright, okay. Here we go. No, not working. Okay, I guess it didn't work. It's not working. I'm trying to get my producer in here, but he's not getting the message. One moment. Yeah. Okay. Now we're back. I took a little brief intermission and now we're back. Okay, so I have my yeah. I I have my producer here, and you know, it's we need some sound bites because for the rest of the podcast going forward, for the very end of the podcast here, it's going to be more lighthearted topics. So, what we're going into next is how to say. We got some applause. Let's hear that again. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So, we're gonna look at how to say pumpkin in Anishinaabe. And this comes to us from James Vukolich. He is part Anishinaabe, part something else. Give me a quack. Yeah.
Bonjour, Indira Makana Dokani, and hello, all of my relatives. The Ojibwe name for pumpkin is Okosaman. Okosaman. Now, Okosaman can also mean a squash, and Okosaman pumpkin is one of many indigenous gifts to the culinary world, to the world at large. Okosaman is the Ojibwe word and name for pumpkin. Miigwech.
Okosiman. Okosiman. So that's how you say pumpkin in Ojibwe. Do you have any yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're taking a look here at Chunk, the Groundhog, celebrity mukbanger. This is our final headline. This is from Veg News. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Another quack. Yeah. Okay. This is Chunk the Groundhog eaten in front of the camera. A compilation. Munching on a carrot. Don't know what he's munching on there. Munching on a carrot, apple. Yeah. So the deal is that like this guy had a wildlife cam, and Chunk was getting into his garden and started eating directly in front of his camera. Like as if he was doing a mukbang. So he just decided to start leaving offerings for him by the camera. So, you know, now little Chunk comes along and just does what he does best. Does his groundhog mukbanging. So this is a video from Gardner_Jeff on Instagram. Chunk the Groundhog documentary.
Tried to resecure the garden, and there you got me again.
After days of being outsmarted by the groundhogs, Jeff had a change of heart.
It dawned on me one day. It's like they're just out here trying to survive. I'm just gonna stop fighting, man. These guys are so cool. So much swagger. They just pop right up in front of the camera and they're just eating away. So innocent, lips smacking, juice everywhere. It's the most coolest thing you'll see. I transitioned from being an organic farmer that spends like hours tending to the garden to caretaker of a family of groundhogs. It's their land too. I just put a garden on it.
Yeah. Alright, so this next segment is gonna show a mama and baby groundhog from the account chunk_the_groundhog on Instagram. So there's a few Instagram accounts there for this little chunk. Like there's like two. Well, there's the main dude's thing, which is Gardener Jeff, and then Chunk the groundhog. So it's a mama with large groundhog breasts. Clearly, she's been given her baby milk, her little baby's milk. And little groundhog is eating some of the carrot out of her hands while she holds it. So that's precious. And this last one is Groundhog Picnic. From chunk_the_groundhog. Okay. So as you can see, it's two chipmunks eating some currants or cherry tomatoes maybe? At a little mini picnic table with a picnic, the red and white picnic table covering. So, this concludes episode 1 of the Native Tea podcast. This is some cold tea, but it's the bold tea. And I wrote in the title for this, ah-cha-cha, ah-cha-cha-cha-cha, at least for the live stream. It's not going to be this on the highlights, but if anybody knows what that's from, because I've been trying to remember what that's from, what old cartoon where, like, that character is like, ah-cha-cha, ah-cha-cha-cha-cha. Like, that's something. I'm thinking of something. I don't know what it is. But if anybody knows, let me know. Alright, I gotta hop into it, gotta get going. So everybody enjoy your weekend. Let's, end the genocide one day at a time. That is all genocides, We all need to be free in this world. We all need to be happy and healthy. That's what natural laws is all about. That's what rights is all about. That's what morality is all about. Okay, so I'm going to be ending this right here now at 22:22 almost at Thursday, November 7th on the Universal Time Clock. Here in Michigan with my producer, Brad Anderson, at the last second. Gov Corp Watch on YouTube. govbanknotes.wordpress.com. I was just extending it so we can get to 22:22, okay? That's how synchronicities work. Okay, so Hagone. Oh my god. Okay, excuse me. Hagone. Yay.